Okay, so our next issue is ethical issues in accounting, and I'm going to explain why ethics are crucial to accounting. Ethics are basically the moral standards we need to follow, that we do not do bad things, we do not commit crimes, and we should do everything in our power to protect the integrity of accounting practice. So, first of all, we should be able to identify the ethical concerns. So, there are people that their ethical issues are in question, and we should also analyze the options, consider all the good and bad consequences. We always hope for the best and prepare for the worst, and then we will make an ethical decision, and we should choose the best option after weighing all consequences. The goal of accounting is to provide useful information to decisions, and for information to be useful, it must be trusted. This demand ethics in accounting. Ethics are beliefs that distinguish right from wrong, and they are accepted standard of a good and bad behavior. And here is the fraud triangle, which is widely used for crime analysis. So there are basically three factors which serve at the three side of a triangular, and they each would compose an important factor for a person to commit fraud. So fraud basically means provide false information of accounting intentionally to obtain personal needs in an illegal manner. So the first factor here is opportunity. So the individual who commit crime should have the opportunity to get the money to cook the information. So if I'm just a janitor of a company, I do not have access to the company's financial data. There's no opportunity for me to commit financial fraud. So only the accountant, like a controller, the treasurer, or the CFO, have the means to get access to money and data. They have the means, they have the opportunity to commit crime. And this provides the invasion a way to commit fraud with a low perceived risk of getting caught. That is also important. So assume there's no regulations or no daily inspections, then the individual would have more opportunities to commit the crime compared to there's a constant auditing every day or a government inspection every quarter. Then there will be now such opportunities for crime. And also for people who commit financial crime, they are usually under financial pressure. So people who get a very rich girlfriend or their parents are sick in hospital, so they need a lot of money for their personal uses, then that's called financial pressure. If a person's under financial pressure, they will be more likely to commit fraud. And not just for the poor people, but also for rich people when they get greedy. All right, although for certain CEOs they get paid like millions of dollars every year, still they're not satisfied. They still feel the financial pressure to make more money. So there are financial pressure for the rich people to make more money. There's also financial pressure for poor people to get a little bit more money. And the last factor is called rationalization. So after the commitment of a financial fraud, after they satisfy their own financial pressure, how can they live with that? So their brain, the criminal's brain just developed a enzyme to rationalize what they did. Although rationally they know it is wrong, but they just make it correct. The rationalization basically means they justify their action. They don't think it is wrong, they think it is correct. And for a lot of criminals who put in jail, they were sentenced to 20 years to 100 years. During their interviews, they still do not think that what they did was wrong, although they have embezzled billions of money. they still thought what they did was correct and follow the principle, but it's just wrong. Just their brain is wired differently. They think the wrong issues are right in their world. So those kind of thinking is very dangerous. That's called rationalization. Once again, that is the final last straw to commit the crime. And for people who have that kind of rationalization is very dangerous, then they will end up in jail. And there are actually many companies and big companies, leading companies of their industries have these accounting abuses. And abuses basically means they did not follow the right way to do things, and they just did something wrong at their best interest, but hurt the general public. So these are the companies that were in trouble in early 2000. So we have Expo, we have WorldCom, AOL, Fannie Mae, Xerox, and Tycoon, and the most famous one is Enron. Enron was called the best company in the United States for a decade. It was an energy company. What Enron did was to inflate the income, make the profit artificially look larger, but it's actually not. And Enron also hit debt by setting up some agent small companies and transfer the debt to their subsidiary agents. And they also bribe officials, give government official money. They also bribe external auditors like Arthur Andersen, which was one of the big five accounting firm on the Wall Street. But because they got involved with Enron, Arthur Andersen got bankrupted with Enron. And all the other companies, they all get some degree of financial fraud. So they either inflated the inflation, make it artificially look big, and or they just hide their debt or defer their expenses. They just want their stock, their performance to look better. With this widely spread activities going on, the U.S. Congress passed this law called Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and that helped to curb, to control the financial crisis among the companies. And these companies are generally public companies which issue stocks to public. And this Sarbanes-Oxley or SOX requires that these companies apply both accounting oversight and stringent internal controls and make their accounting practice more transparent so their external users and the public can see them clearly and make their practice more accountability or more reliable and more truthful and make sure there is no false information in their report. So after the implementation of Sarbanes-Oxley, then the practice of these big firms in the United States have been improved a lot on the accounting side. And also in 2007, there was a financial crisis. Actually, the downfall started in 2008. And that was basically come from the commercial banks. They just use their assets. Well, the assets of commercial bank basically are from deposits of savers. And they use the deposit of the savers to purchase very dangerous financial products that yield high risk and high return. So when the risk hit, these assets got to shrink the value. The bank do not have enough assets, then the bank is in a big trouble or at the edge of bankruptcy. So in facing that kind of issue, the government issued the Dodd-Frank Act to protect the consumers. So who are the consumers of the bank? Of course, the people who save money in the bank. And the government just don't want the bank to use consumers' money to play stocks or futures or these dangerous financial securities. All right. And also it promotes the accountability and transparency in the financial system. And it also put an end to a notion of too big to fail. So before, there are a lot of big banks. If they get bankrupt, then the savers will lose money and that would cause a lot of a social issue that was the government was afraid of. But after Dodd-Frank came out, the government basically says your banks are on your own now, so we are not going to give you any bailouts, and we are going to do everything in our power to protect the consumers' interest because the consumers are the taxpayers of the company.